Hi Aries, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your September 2026 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, it's horizontally in front of us. It's a 12 card spread, with each card representing a different house of the zodiac, starting with your sign. Aries is the first house, all the way through to Pisces representing the 12th. When we get the main spread, we'll actually pull an oracle card as well for some additional insight. As far as the decks being used this month, for the main tarot deck, we have the Brady Tarot, and for the oracle deck, we have the Wisdom of the Oracle. We're actually going to start the reading off our own nose astrology ice in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. All right, we have Saturn. So yeah, Saturn is in your sign currently and retrograde, so certainly makes sense to see this come up. But yeah, Saturn could definitely make things feel a little heavy at times, a little challenging, but ultimately, once you get on the other side of that, there will be a reward. Just hard to see it coming sometimes. All right, so we also have sixth house, and really makes sense to see this come up as well because sixth house energy for you guys is Virgo. So there's going to be plenty going on, of course, as we move through Virgo season, right? We'll have the sun there until the 22nd of September. We'll have a new moon in Virgo on the 10th of September. We're about to have Mercury go into Virgo in a few days. I feel like there's something else too. I'm drawing a blank. That was it, really. But I mean, that's plenty, don't get me wrong. But yeah, so plenty of energy going through your sixth house, and then that points to health, work, and daily routines. And we have Libra. So yeah, so like I was saying, Virgo, the sun will be in Virgo to the 22nd of September, and then at that point, it'll move into Libra. So it'll be late on the 22nd, so 23rd, depending on where you are in the world. But yeah, Libra for you guys is seventh house of partnerships, contracts, and relationships. And other than the sun moving there toward the end of the month, we pretty much already have Venus in there. It's going to be there for an extended time. It's actually going to start a pre-retrograde shadow right at the end of August, and then on the 10th it'll move into Scorpio, and eventually once it starts its retrograde, not in September, but it will eventually end up back in Libra. So there could definitely be some revisiting energies when it comes to your relationships for sure, and partnerships like we mentioned as well. See if anything else comes to mind. Oh yeah, and then Mercury will also be moving into Libra around the 10th, so plenty of energy going on there too. So the dice does seem to align with the astrology fairly well this time, but we'll keep that in mind as we go through the main spread. So for your first house of personality, self-awareness, and appearance, we have rivalry. So this is the Five of Feathers. Most decks, this will be the Five of Wands, so it's a Leo energy. So yeah, it could just be saying that you guys might have actually found yourselves involved in some conflict during Leo season, especially, right? Now, for some of you, the Five of Wands or Five of Feathers in this deck isn't typically a long-lasting energy, but it could just be one of those things, right, where maybe there's just someone in your environment that you tend to butt heads with every now and again, and that's the case for some of you that might have already happened while we were going through Leo season. If not, could just be saying that maybe in the month of September you might find yourselves in this energy again. But again, like I said, the positive is it can tend to be short-lived. It's just more of a nagging energy, if anything. For your second house of possession, self-worth, and finances, we have the Hermit. So this is actually a Virgo energy. Good thing to see, like we said, as we're moving through Virgo season. And to me, this says you'll be making very measured, responsible decisions when it comes to your finances. Maybe taking a lot of time to review things and study things before you actually commit to something when it comes to that area of life as well. And to me, this points to an energy of just being realistic in general, too, when it comes to your self-worth. So good to see that there. All right, so for your third house of communication, short journeys, and siblings, we have the Five of Roots, which is scarcity. So this is a Taurus energy here, and we were just talking about finances, right? So for some of you, maybe that's what's pulling you into that Virgo energy, right? You might have some communication with someone where they're saying, hey, we were expecting to have resources for XYZ in the last quarter of the year, but now it's not looking like it's going to be the case, right? So that would be an example of how that could play out in the workplace. Or if you had some kind of investments, let's say, right, they might be saying, oh, yeah, it looks like the market might not be too strong coming up, so you might want to reconsider, how much resources you're putting into these things. So it could just be one of those things where you have some conversations that actually pull you into a more reflective energy when it comes to how you're going to be dealing with your finances. For some of you, it could just be finding out that there's some upcoming expenses too, whatever the case may be. But I feel like, rather than this bleeding into this energy, it's more of what you find out here that's going to pull you into that energy. So for your fourth house, which points to home roots and family, we have breach. So this is the Seven of Horns, Seven of Cups in most decks, which is a Scorpio energy here. So yeah, so this could be going back to what I was saying, right? To where maybe you're finding out that, hey, maybe something you're investing in, right? Maybe it was going well for a while, but it's like, you might want to consider at least, looking at it again because maybe it's not going to last as long. So something along those lines there. Of course, in your home environment too, could just be saying that maybe things are a little bit too scattered, so you can't really put dedicated energy into any one thing because it just feels like there's a lot of things going on at once. But of course, in a super duper literal sense, this could point to potential water issues within your home. So definitely make sure that you're watching out for that ahead of time. But yeah, that's what I see with that. All right, so for your fifth house of romance, creativity, and children, we have the Mother of Feathers. So this is the Queen of Wands traditionally, which is actually an Aries card. So great to see this here, because that says to me that especially regardless of what these things may be, your creativity is going to be on point, right, as far as figuring out ways to navigate these energies. And then to me, this says that you have a nice natural flow when it comes to your creativity as well. And if you're feeling like exploring some romance with people too, this shows me that you're going to come across as your authentic self, which is a positive as well. So yeah, as we saw with the dice, sixth house energy looks like an area of focus for you guys, and we talked about all the astrology to go with that. But for the actual tarot card, we have the Devolver of Feathers. So this is the King of Wands, and that's actually a Leo energy. So again, to me, I see this tying into the creativity, right? Where your creativity could directly pay off for you guys when it comes to your health, your work, your daily routines, right? So definitely make sure to stay tapped in with that creativity. And seeing this here could just be saying that you might be finding yourselves in a bit more of a leadership position too when it comes to your work, right? Or even just in the daily routines you undertake. There might just be this energy of being the spotlight to an extent. All right, so for your seventh house of partnerships, contracts, relationships, we have departure. So this is actually a Pisces energy here, and equivalent to the Eight of Cups. But seeing this, I feel like this is saying that for some of you, especially since Pisces is a subconscious area for you guys, this could just be saying you might be considering leaving a partnership behind. I don't necessarily see all of you going through with it necessarily, but at the very least, it looks like something that's on your mind. And again, to me, that goes back to keeping in mind what we said with that Venus retrograde pre-shadow energy. That could be what's bringing it up to the surface for you guys. So long story short with that, what I would say is if this is like a brand new feeling that came up to you guys out of the blue, then keep in mind, hey, once that retrograde, pre-main retrograde and post-shadow period ends, you might feel a little bit differently about the decision. Whereas if this is a long-standing feeling that you've had for a long time and how it's just getting stronger, then that could be pointing to an issue where maybe you would want to actually consider leaving the situation behind. But that's what I see with that. All right, so for your eighth house of death, rebirth, intimacy, and investments, we have the Two of Roots, which is equilibrium. So this is a Capricorn energy here. And yeah, this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier when we were talking about the scarcity and the hermit, right? So this could just be one of those things where you might decide to pull back a little bit when it comes to investing, right? So even if you don't pull out of specific investments, maybe you're just putting less resources into those investments, things along those lines. They are really just saying, oh, you know what, I'm just going to focus on a few things, right? I don't want to spread myself too thin and have too many potential variables that could go haywire. So it could just be one of those things where you're scaling back a little bit as far as that goes. All right, so for your ninth house, which points to higher learning, foreign affairs, and philosophy, we have Deft. So this is actually the major arcana card for Scorpio, which is your natural eighth house. So yeah, so again, like I said, it could just be one of those things where maybe through learning, right, you might have learned something about something that you'd invested in, right, and realize that, okay, yeah, you know what, like we were saying, maybe you meet with a financial advisor, super generic example of how it could be playing out. They're like, yeah, you know, the market was strong at this point for this thing, but just so you know, it's about to get into a period where it might not be as strong going into the winter in the northern hemisphere, right? So it could just be one of those things where they're giving you a heads up. You might say, okay, you know what, it was good while it lasted, but yeah, maybe we need to reconsider. But this could just be pointing to beliefs that you've had in general, right? Where you're like starting to revisit them and seeing what fits and what doesn't and making adjustments. All right, so for your 10th house of career and social status, we have the Five of Horns, which is referred to as the loss in this deck. So the same as the Five of Cups in traditional tarot, which is a Scorpio energy as well, right? So we're seeing a lot of Scorpio energy coming up. So yeah, I feel like this is just more of maybe there were investments made in some way, and now there's some reconsideration around if they're going to be feasible in the long term or not, right? So that could be one of those things that you guys are going to be giving some thought to as far as again, like I said, the main feeling that I'm getting from this could be one of those things where there was something that's supposed to be taking place within your workplace, but then they're like, you know what, we're not really going to have the resources to carry that through. So we might have to delay a project or something like that, right? So I don't feel like it's going to be doom and gloom as far as like job loss or anything to the extreme, but it's more of one of those things where you're going to be like, yeah, you know what, we had plans to do this thing, but now we might need to scale that back for a bit or, you know, revisit it down the line. All right, so for your 11th house energy of friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes, we have the Nine of Arrows, which is anguish in this deck. So yeah, this is the equivalent of the Nine of Swords in a lot of decks, which is a Gemini energy. So for some of you, this could be actually potentially some friendships coming to an end. Now, more so than that, if that were the case, I feel like this is going to be more than likely connections that you made very recently. You know, if we just take the artwork at face value, there could still be some disappointment around it, of course, if that's the case. But maybe that's just pointing back to what we were saying, right? Maybe you're just scaling back in multiple areas of life, right? To where you're like, okay, you know what? And there could be reasons for it, right? If you're like, okay, now I know that I'm going to have to put more time and energy into my work life. Maybe I got to scale back my social life a little bit, right? Okay, we don't have the resources to bring on additional people to hire at this time or something like that. So that means that my workload's going to be heavier. Okay, maybe I'm going to have to decline some social plans, you know? So I feel like it's one of those things where the disappointment around it's going to be very real, but it's just one of those things where, you know, I feel like there's a reason for it, where it's like your energy is just being pulled in a different direction at this time. And actually, looking at your 12th house energy, this seems to align with that vision. Because for your 12th house of spirituality, blind spots, mental health, we have victory. So this is a more Leo energy here. And yeah, to me, that says that whereas maybe these things taking place could rattle you on a mental level, right? Make you feel like, oh, you know, I do something wrong. This is what's going on. Is, you know, like instead of being in a woe is me energy, I feel like this is saying that ultimately you'll be able to look at it through a very realistic lens and perspective and say that, okay, you know what, this is just a cycle right now that I'm going through, right? And that'll actually prepare you to go through it with minimal issue. You know, again, like I said, I don't feel like it's going to be a big party energy, but at the same time, you'll be like, okay, it is what it is, right? Just got to get it done and move forward. All right. And bottom of the deck, we have Burden. So that's the 10 of Feathers or the 10 of Wands in a lot of decks. So Sagittarius energy here. Yeah. And then for some of you, seeing that could be tying into what we were saying with the Death card because Sagittarius is your natural ninth house. And here we see the Death energy for it. So it could just be one of those things where you could just be leaving some beliefs behind that might have been too heavy on you, right? So, for example, maybe you felt the need to bring everyone with you, right? And we're like, oh, okay, people around me are going through a tough time. I'm going to bring them all with me, right? And like, oh, that's not realistic, right? I'm like, well, you're going to burn yourself out in the process, right? So maybe it's things along that those lines are like, okay, being more realistic about what you can and can't do, right? And acting accordingly. But we'll see what the Oracle card adds to the mix. So give this a few shuffles, then we'll cut the deck and pull a card. Well, guess we'll take that card. We'll get this out of the way and see what you got. All right, we have Happy Happy. There's the artwork, and the number is 26. So yeah, if you needed any more of an indicator right there, like I said, even if there's some bumpy energies along the road, it looks like you're going to take a very realistic outlook about it and keep moving forward. This looks like a positive indicator too, but we'll see what it says. All right, essential meanings says joy and contentment, a sense of fulfillment, a feeling that all is well. The oracle's message: your desires are effortlessly fulfilled now. Find joy in the present moment, whatever is happening, and be satisfied with things as they are. You're free from the shackles of longing and able to experience the liberation that comes from actually being happy moment to moment, for you have chosen happiness over yearning for it. Now is the time for feeling joy for the sake of joy and experiencing contentment. None of this is because of something outside yourself. Your happiness is a result of being at one with Spirit's plan for your life. All is well. The tide is in for now. Enjoy playfully splashing in it. So yeah, definitely a positive message there, and then that actually put things in a slightly different light for me too, because as I was reading that, I was thinking between the scarcity energy in third house and the anguish in your life of it could be you coming to the realization that maybe those around you seem to have a negative outlook on things, right? And maybe where normally you would have put in more effort to try to bring them around to seeing your way of things in a more positive sense, you just might be like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to do what suits me best and not feel like everyone else has to see things the way I do. All right. The relationship message says there are moments in a relationship when you just feel good about whom you're with and you know that your heart is wide open to befriend, to love, and to care for another without wanting anything in return. This is the kind of happy that you just want to share. The appearance of this card in a reading tells you that joy and contentment are here now, not somewhere else or off in the future. The grass is greenest right where you stand. Be grateful and delight in your relationship, and if you're seeking one, be happy now. Happiness attracts more of it like bees to honey. So that last part was interesting because it brought me back to what I was saying with the Mother of Feathers, given that that is an Aries card, where I was saying, to me, that's an indicator when it comes to romance, just being yourself will actually make you more appealing in that regard. Whereas for the more serious relationships, I could see that being an indicator of what I was saying, right? That, just be mindful of, hey, all of a sudden, if you just out of the blue got this energy like, oh, maybe I need to leave this connection behind. Keep in mind that we do have Venus in pre-shadow. Well, at least it will be right at the end of August through September, but that could be what's at play too. It could be a temporary feeling. And the prosperity message says this is a time to take pride in your accomplishments. You're doing good work, providing exceptional service, and are well compensated for it. The world rains gratitude upon you, and you're happy with the results of your efforts and creativity. Isn't it amazing to consider all that you've done? Remember your partnership with Spirit in this moment, too. Your soul has always known you could accomplish anything if it brought you joy. So, yeah, another good indicator there that things will pan out for you guys well when it comes to finances. Like I said, I feel like this is more of one of those things where seeing the connection with that, where maybe there is plans for something down the lines and they're like, oh, we might have to scale them back for the time being, whether it be delay them or just do them on a lower scale. But overall, like I said, it doesn't seem like doom and gloom, just more of a minor setback. But hopefully that resonates for you guys. We'll wrap up there. All right, bye.